What is up, whiskey noobs? We're back with yet another episode. We've got a fun one today because we're going to talk about some tips, some tricks, a little bit of the educational stuff, and then also a blind tasting. Because I was actually brainstorming like future episodes, and I came up with this idea for a blind tasting, and then I was like, actually, that works super well in this episode that I came up with. So I think it's going to work perfectly. We're talking about summertime whiskeys. It's getting warmer outside. It's getting a lot warmer outside quickly this year. It's kind of weird. It went from like freezing to like pretty warm, at least in Ohio this year. So getting warmer outside. What do you want to drink? How do you want to drink it? I got a couple of tips for drinking whiskey in the summertime or just like in hotter weather in general. And then I've also got a few recommendations, whiskeys that come to mind when I think about summer. One that didn't come to mind, but then I looked at it and I was like, you might be a summertime bottle. And then I've also got a blind tasting because there's something I couldn't quite work out, which we're going to get to when we talk about the whiskeys. There's something that I was like, I'm not too sure, so let's do a blind tasting of it, and then we're going to know unbiasedly. Unbiasedly? I don't think that's a word, but you get what I'm trying to say. So before we get to that, I have to mention the Patreon page because you might notice we don't have any sponsors on this show. This show is sponsored by you guys, the patrons. Thank you all so much. A couple of updates coming to you from the Patreon page. First of all, I'm going to be transparent with you. It's been a little bit of a tough month on the Patreon. For a while there, we were doing better than I thought we needed to be doing in order to get to where we're trying to go, which would be more episodes, more time for me to put into this, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. I'll be totally transparent with you guys. This month wasn't great for it. I'm not letting it get me down. But because of that, maybe this is encouraging you not to sign up, but don't, because I can't afford to give anything else away, I promise. Because of that, I was like, let's throw out a solo blind giveaway. So I gave away a solo blind. I'm going to do another one this month to see how those giveaways help. I promise the well is running dry. I can't afford to just keep giving away more stuff, but I thought we'd give it a try. My thought is if you sign up, you get entered into the bottle giveaways every month, and now a solo blind giveaway at least these 2 months. We'll see if we keep it going or not, but at least these 2 months you're getting entered into a solo blind giveaway as well, so that seems like a pretty good deal to me. You're basically just buying a lottery ticket. Plus you get the free content, plus you get to add Q&As for these episodes. It seems like a great deal to me, but on the note of it not going great last month, I'm trying to be as transparent as I can about this. I want more feedback from you guys. I would love to hear why you were thinking about signing up and didn't, why you were signed up and you got off of it. Whatever it is, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I want to make the Patreon a fun place, a place where you feel like you're getting your money's worth and I feel like I'm getting the support that I need and everybody's happy. Like that's the overall goal with the Patreon page. So please send me over some feedback. You can do that through the Patreon chat if you're a patron. If you're not a patron, you can do it through the Discord. Let me know. Give me some feedback. I would be more than happy to hear it, to talk to you about it, whatever it may be. Okay, plug for the Patreon is over. Let's get into it. So, drinking whiskey in the summertime. I intended to throw more tips on the script than I did, so I'm realizing I might have to freeball it here with some of these tips. But the first tip that I've got, if you're drinking whiskey and it's hot outside, right? I'm the type of guy that I much prefer neat whiskey. Like that's always what I go for. But when it's hot outside, I typically want ice, or I don't want something warm, room temperature that's also super alcohol-y. So there's a couple different ways you can go with this. The first way you could go with this would be drink something lower proof, because proof kind of makes you feel hot. You know, if you're drinking something that's a really high proof, it kind of gets you sweating. That's like the old joke or the old like wives' tale. I don't know what you would call it. Is if you drink some whiskey, you're going to feel a little bit more hot. It's going to warm you up. I'm picturing old school cartoons when the dog had whiskey around its neck and our hero Bugs Bunny is frozen and then the dog drips a little whiskey into Bugs' mouth and boom, it warms him right up, right? Everybody knows whiskey makes you hot. So if it's the summertime and you really, really, really don't want ice, then I would say to go with something a little bit lower proof. Maybe go with something 80 proof. Maybe if you normally drink in that 115 range, but it's hot outside, maybe go with some 80 proof, some 90 proof, and definitely add water. Don't necessarily need to add it to the whiskey. You can if you want, but have a water back. Have like what that means if you have like a water back or a soda back. For those of you who don't know, little bonus tip. That just means that you have it with the whiskey. So most people know picklebacks, right? You take a shot of whiskey and you drink pickle juice. You can have a water back. You don't need to take it as a shot. You can take a sip of your whiskey, a few gulps of water, a sip of your whiskey, a few gulps of water. Stay hydrated. Okay, that's kind of like tip 1.5. Tip 1 is lower proof. You're not going to feel quite as hot. Tip 1.5 or tip 2 is stay hydrated. Drink water. Drink cold water. That is definitely going to help you, but it's easy to kind of lose sight of the water because you're so used to just sipping on whiskey, especially in the wintertime. You can sip on whiskey and you're pretty much fine because you're not sweating. If you're sipping on whiskey, alcohol in general, they say it dehydrates you. I'm no doctor. But if you're sipping on whiskey, alcohol is supposed to dehydrate you, and it's hot outside, I recommend having some water with it. So tip number 2, have a glass of water with you. Make sure you're staying hydrated, even if that means hydrating a lot before you have the glass, because you don't want the water on your palate while you're having the glass of whiskey. You don't want it to change the flavor. That's totally fine, but stay hydrated. Tip number 3, if you don't want to do low proof, or if you're okay with having some ice in your whiskey, you might want to do a higher proof whiskey and put ice in it. So kind of the opposite of what I just said, but specifically if you're putting ice in it, right? Because if you like 100 proof and you put ice in something that's 100 proof, it is now less than 100 proof, especially as that ice melts. So if you want to still have that enticing kind of 100 proof flavor, then drink something a little bit higher proof and put ice in it, and it'll water it down to a proof that you're comfortable with. You'll get the coldness, you'll get the little bit of hydration from the ice. Not enough, to be super clear. Make sure you're still drinking water. A little bit of hydration from the ice, and then you're also going to cool down that whiskey, and you're going to keep it at a relatively high proof while you're doing that. So definitely balancing your proof with your hydration. That's kind of the summary of those first few tips is hydrate, but also target the proof that you want. If you don't want to add ice, I mean, you don't have to listen to anything that I'm saying. You could just drink 140 proof whiskey without any water or ice in it. You could not water it down at all, and you're probably going to have a bad time, especially if it's sunny and hot outside. I highly recommend against doing that. But I had to say it because there's going to be somebody in the comments that's like, actually, in the summertime is the best time to drink 130 proof whiskey. Okay, psycho, you have fun with that. I personally won't be. So those are the first few tips. The last one is kind of a random add-on just because my buddy David Thomas Tao, if you don't follow him, go check him out on Instagram. He is a whiskey, I think kind of all spirits actually, writer, and very informed in the industry and stuff. And he did a post about this, and I thought, that's actually like important. Why is nobody talking about this? Be careful with whiskey stones. So if you don't know what whiskey stones are, they're a very common gift for a whiskey lover. They look like an ice cube, but they're a rock, and you keep them in a freezer, and they get cold, and you put them in your glass, and you pour whiskey over it, and it cools down the whiskey. Some people might want to use that. The idea is that it doesn't water down the whiskey, but it cools down the whiskey. I personally haven't really had a whiskey stone that I felt did the best job of cooling down the whiskey. I don't know what other way to say it. A sufficient job of cooling down the whiskey. I don't feel like they get it down to the temperature that I would want if I want my whiskey cold, because I usually don't. But if I do, I want it cold, you know? So be careful with whiskey stones. Why do I say be careful? Because they are a rock, and they're in the bottom of your glass, and they can bust your teeth, they can bust your lips. A lot of people don't think about that, especially maybe second or third glass. You throw it up, and you forget there's a stone in the bottom, and now you have a small rock hitting you in the mouth. Some of them are small, and you're going to be totally fine. Some of them are sizable. There's some substantial whiskey stones out there. So be careful with whiskey stones. I stole that tip from David Thomas Tao, so go check him out, because I thought it was a great tip. I saw that, and I was like, that's a great point. I've never personally had them bust my mouth, but I don't use whiskey stones super often. So, great tip. Very important point. If you're going to use whiskey stones, be careful. So those are just a few tips for generally drinking whiskey in hotter weather. So higher proof is going to make you sweat more, so maybe cut down to a lower proof. If you're going to do a higher proof, then add an ice cube to it and help cut down that proof a little bit. Also cool it off and cool you off a little bit. Avoid whiskey stones, or if you're going to use whiskey stones, then be very careful. And of course, throughout all of those other 3 tips, hydrate, 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 especially if it's hot outside. The whiskey is not hydrating you as much as it's telling you it is. That whiskey in your glass might be saying, you're fine, you're good. You're not good. Drink some water, okay? All right. Those are all my tips. I promise I'm done now. I just wanted to run through 3. I wanted to do 3. I thought about doing more, but really, I got 2 that came to mind immediately. 2 whiskeys where I was like, these are summertime whiskeys. And I wanted to run through more, but honestly, there's a lot of whiskeys out there where I feel like it's really, really a matter of opinion. And these two that I'm about to talk about, I don't really think are a matter of opinion. I think they're like obviously summertime type whiskeys. I'm sure there are more out there. I'm actually looking at one right now, so I'm going to give it an honorable mention. I feel like Lodestar, which is a mix of American single malt and high rye bourbon, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like that has a nice summery vibe to it. You know what? I'm going to grab the bottle before I'm done with this because I feel like I should show you the bottle. I feel like they deserve a shout out. But I was looking through and there weren't many. Like, I mean, I'm looking at my shelf right now and there's just not a lot where I look at those and I say, that screams summertime to me. I guess I didn't look quite as much at my Perfect Pairing podcast shelf, but also not a lot screaming summertime to me. So I grabbed these two, which came right to the top of my mind. The one, as soon as I thought of this episode, I was like, we got to talk about this one. The other one, I walked by it and I was like, you're a summertime whiskey. And then I threw in a curveball, which we're going to talk about. But let's talk about what came to mind. I thought of this episode. Boom. Barrel Seagrass comes to mind for me for my summertime pick. It really is summery. So Barrel Seagrass is a rye whiskey finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels. Why is this like the perfect summer bottle? Let me say that one more time because I am stumbling a little bit today. Why is this like the perfect summertime bottle? There, now I can use it for a clip if I want to. This is like the perfect summertime bottle because not only does it taste summery, right? So it's got this nice fruity vibe. It's a rye whiskey, so it's got like a pop. It's got a little bit of punch. It's got a little bit of pepper to keep you interested, but it's not punchy. It's not painful because it has those nice fruity finishes on the end that are going to keep it fruity, keep it a little bit light. So like it just in general kind of tastes like summertime, but also it's high proof. It's 120.38 this bottle, 120 proof. So that means you can put ice in it and you're going to water it down to like 100 proof. I mean, if you let the ice melt completely, you're going to water it down more. But throughout the drinking of the whiskey, you're probably going to water it down not that much. And so it's just like, it's like it was made for summertime. Now, I drink it year-round because Barrel Seagrass, if you're new here and you don't know this, I love it. I drink it just about year-round, but in the summertime especially, this is a summertime bottle. And if you're wondering, oh, he says he loves it, and his bottle's not even open. I have an open bottle, but it's out there. And so I saw this one, and I grabbed it. There's your answer. I'm hitting up comments before people even say them today. Okay, next bottle, empty bottle that I walked past and was like, you have to be in this episode. Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve. Similar fruity vibe. I mean, that's kind of like the theme so far, but we are going to change that theme. But it's got a similarly fruity vibe. Now, this isn't as high proof. This would almost be like your low proof sipper that I mentioned, where you're just sipping some water, sipping something low proof. This is only 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. But it's a single malt Scotch whiskey, and then they finish it in Caribbean rum barrels. Now, rum barrels, I mean, you're going to get a little bit of molasses most of the time. You're going to get rum taste, right? But this bottle, the way it mixes with that single malt, it is like a fruity malty symphony. It just screams summertime. I wonder if I can still smell it, even though, oh yes, I wish you could smell this through the microphone. It's just like a fruity malty symphony. It's relatively inexpensive. Barrel Seagrass is a little bit higher end. This is relatively inexpensive. I think like $40 or less. Just a great bottle for the summertime. I think I just talked myself into going and buying another one before summer starts, because I'm recording this a month in advance, obviously. And summer's still a little bit out, but I had to get out there beforehand so you guys have time to buy them. But yeah, I think I'm going to go buy another one of those. That's actually a great point. Okay, let's grab Lodestar. Then we're going to go to the bottle that I think is a little bit of a gamble. We'll see. Lodestar American whiskey for bottle number 3. You know, I feel like I haven't talked about this enough lately because I was a really big fan of this the first few times I had it. And I'm still a fan of it. I just haven't drank it in a while. So Lodestar is a blend of high rye bourbon and American single malt whiskey. Super unique flavor. It's only 90 proof, so this is going to be another one of those lower proof sippers that you're going to have with some water. I'll get you a better view of the label here. I don't know how much my lights are reflecting, but I'll try my best. And super nice blue label there too. But the way the single malt and the high rye interact, I don't think I would do this if this was single malt mixed with normal bourbon or wheated bourbon or like a sweet bourbon. Because the thing that really makes it summery to me. I realize I should have these on camera. The thing that really makes it like a summery whiskey for me is that it's got like that lighter flavor. That seems to be a pattern for me with these summertime whiskeys. Is like, if it's not a single malt, which we've got here, it's like higher rye. It's got like that nice rye spice because that kind of livens it up. Now, there's some ryes that you have and you're like, this is a wintertime. This tastes like baking spices and Christmas cookies. But sometimes they have this kind of lighter herbal flavor, and I feel like when you mix this with the American single malt, you get that like kind of lighter herbal flavor. You get some sweetness. It's a little bit rich, but it's not overly old, so it kind of just has like a nice light vibe to it. I feel like it would go really well with like an orange peel or even a slice of orange or something. I know that's like heresy for some people, but that's another free tip you just got there. You can also add a little bit of fruit or do an old-fashioned in the summertime instead. But I think it would go really well with that. So I thought, I should probably include that. Now, the curveball, some of you are going to judge me hard when you see this because you're going to be like, that is a wintertime whiskey. But I took a sip of it earlier, and I feel like maybe it's summertime. We're going to see. We've got Pursuit United's Double Oaked Rye. This is 108 proof, so it's right on the edge there where you could add ice to it for sure. It's just going to lower the proof a little bit. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because it's pretty oaky. But I saw it on my shelf, and I was like, you know what? You could be a summertime drink. You really could. Especially, my biggest thing is I have a theory, and maybe I'll try it before the episode's over. I have a theory that it would be really good with some ice. It does have like some baking spice and some oak and things that I would typically prefer in the fall or the wintertime. But it also has this nice zing of pepper and green herbs and a little bit of saltiness, just like a zing. Like all I can say about it is it's a zing. And sometimes in the summertime you want a zing. So I feel like it would go well, especially with a little bit of ice. I don't know how well you can see it right now, but I'm about to put all these off camera anyways. I feel like it would go really nicely with some ice. Maybe make a really nice summertime old fashioned where you put like an orange twist, maybe just simple syrup, honestly, and then this bad boy, and then you could do normal bitters. In the summer, I really go for like orange bitters or sassafras bitters. Something like that. I just came up with that recipe on the cuff there, off the cuff there. So you're welcome. Something like that I feel like would really go nicely with this in the summertime. So those are my summertime picks. You might notice there's not a single bourbon. This is mixed with bourbon, but there's not a single bourbon in this list. And that's because I couldn't decide. I was like, there's a lot of different ways you could go with picking a bourbon for the summertime. Now, one way that you could go is just based off experience. I've had Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream on ice at the beach in the summertime, and I loved it. So I feel like this is a nice summertime whiskey. Nice summertime bourbon specifically, because that's what we're looking at now. But I've mentioned how much I like the rye spice and I like the green herbal type flavors. So I thought, Brothers Bond, Bottled in Bond is like really, really high rye mash bill. Might even say on here, maybe it doesn't, that's okay. Really high rye. And I thought, ooh, that might be, it's got just enough of the bourbon flavor to taste bourbony, but it's also pretty high rye. So I thought, maybe Brothers Bond, Bottled in Bond. But then the one that came to mind was actually Wild Turkey 101. I somehow don't have a bottle of it right now or can't find it. But then I thought, well, I do like Wild Turkey 101, but if you want to crank it up another notch, Russell's Reserve 10-year it's different. It tastes different from Wild Turkey 101, don't get me wrong. But it's also from the Wild Turkey Distillery, and it also just has that rye and barrel kind of combination that Wild Turkey has. So I thought maybe this one. And you'll notice I kept all these close to the same proof. I want to say this better be 90. Okay, yeah. 90 for the Redwood, 100 for the Bottled in Bond, obviously, and then 90 for the Russell's Reserve. So kept them all about the same proof. What we're going to do is going to be fun because we're going to do a blind tasting of them, obviously. It's kind of what I do. And I'm going to just see which ones I think taste the most summery, reveal that, and then we're adding ice into them. Ice in Glencairns. Very weird. Maybe a heresy. Heresy? Blasphemy? I don't know. One of those. Maybe a sin. But I'm going to do it because I want to add ice to them and then let them set for a second, let the ice melt a little bit, and then see which one I like the most. Let's start with just totally neat, though. That's going to be our first blind tasting. Okay, we've got them loaded up. We're going to give it a spin on camera so that nobody can say that we cheated. Spin it again. Spin it so much that nobody can possibly comment that we cheated. I'm even going to take them off in a random order. I could be really smart. I could be tracking these right now. Maybe I am. But I don't think I am. I don't think I'm that smart. And we're going to get our solo blind out of the way. Boom. Now, anytime I cut away, you're going to know that I could have cheated. So I'm going to try my best not to cut. Anytime I do that, though, I say something that means I have to cut away. Well, I'm going to have to, because I'm going to have to sip all these. So unless you want to sit and listen to me smack my lips. Okay. They're all nice and scrambled up. We're going to start with noses. What smells the most summery? Round one, just the nose. Almost no contest on the nose. Whatever's in the middle here, I'll call this number 2. We'll go... Are you watching this in reverse of me? You are. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Right off the rip, number 2 wins the nose. It's definitely bright. It's sugary. It's almost even a little lemony, which might be up here because I'm thinking about summertime. But almost a little bit lemony. Very nice. Very summery nose. Next place would actually be number 3. I smelled it and I was like, that smells summery. And then I smelled number 2 and I was like, that's better. But number 3 is still pretty summery. Still has some of that spice, a little bit of black pepper. Not necessarily what I was calling lemon and not necessarily like the white sugar flavor, but light and airy. Number 1 is more oaky and dark. So it came in 3rd place, at least for the nose. I feel like maybe it's the Redwood Empire, but maybe I'm wrong about that. So it came in 3rd place for the nose because it's like heavy. It's like I feel like it would weigh my palate down in the summertime. This could all change when we throw ice in it, though. You never know. Let's start with tasting. I'll taste number 1 first to not be confusing. Cheers. Number 1's got some spice to it, actually. Not bad. Well, the tables have absolutely turned. So moving over to the palate. Number 1 takes the cake, actually. I think it's because on the nose it was really rich and barrely, but on the palate it's pretty sweet and smooth and kind of silky. Like what I'm about to describe with these next two is they're almost too spicy. There's almost too much going on without sweetness. Number 2 was like extremely close, let me be clear. But I feel like it was almost too much spice. So number 1 was so sweet and smooth that I felt like on a summer day it wouldn't make me feel hot. Even though these are all close to the same proof, I felt like the other 2 were making me feel hot because they were a little bit spicy. So my high rye theory might be wrong here. So I'm going to say number 1 for palate. I haven't decided nose and palate yet. I think I know, though. Number 2, razor margin. I almost wanted to call it a tie, but I'm not gonna. Number 2 was very close, but it was a little bit hotter, a little bit more spicy. 1 and 2 both have like a fruitiness that made me feel summery. I'm thinking like a popsicle or like a slushie from the gas station type vibes. Obviously it doesn't taste exactly like that, but I'm just thinking of summertime things. So I felt like number 2 was really, really close. I felt like it just didn't quite have the approachability that you would want, especially if you're not drinking these on ice, which is where when we add the ice, this might change around a little bit. Number 3 had that nice summery nose, but on the palate, I think maybe it's the Brothers Bond. I feel like I'm getting a lot of a rye flavor, and it's almost like, I love the Brothers Bond Bottled in Bond, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking about drinking this when it's super hot out, and it's almost just like, what's the word that I'm looking for? It almost kind of coats your palate, almost like richness, where it kind of coats your palate in a way that you don't want when you're super hot. I think maybe it's the Brothers Bond Bottled in Bond, but I could be wrong about that. So, what are we going to do with these? I got to weight more towards palate because you're mostly drinking it in the summertime. But I will say, this one's nose is so much better than this one's. That number 2's nose, I should say this in case you're not watching the video, number 2's nose is so much better than number 1's nose that I'm going to put number 2 in first place overall. So number 2, I think all around the best summertime bourbon. Number 1, I'm going to put in second place because it has that really nice palate. And then number 3, I'm going to put in third place because the palate just fell behind. All right, let's do the reveals. Number 1, I'm feeling like maybe Russell's Reserve, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Brothers Bond. Oh, I mean, that does make sense. So the reason I picked the Russells is it's pretty spicy to me. I think the Russells, well, I should be careful before I talk because maybe number 3 is not Russell's. Let's reveal that. Should we reveal that next? No, we should go in order. Number 2. Number 2, I think, is Redwood Empire. It is Russell's Reserve. These blind tastings are making me look stupid, you guys. Wow. This is so much sweeter than I thought it was. Hold on, we got to get a sip in here. I'm going to add as buffer so you don't think I'm stupid. I haven't had any of these in a super long time. Well, I had the Brothers Bond. That's it. Wow. Absolutely pathetic, Chris. That makes number 3, Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream. I guess, in my mind, I thought Pipe Dream was the richest, and it is the one that I called rich, but it's not the one that I thought was Pipe Dream, so that's weird. Okay, so one more time for those who aren't watching the video version or lost track. In first place, we've got Brothers Bond. Back to thinking my high rye theory was onto something. In second place, we've got Russell's Reserve 10-year. Also high rye, also spicy. In third place, we've got Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream. A little bit too rich, coated my palate too much, but I thought it was spicy. And I've never thought Redwood Empire spicy, or at least not Pipe Dream. Huh. This is why we do blinds, folks. Okay, so that's just the order. That's the order that I came up with. Let's throw some ice in these bad boys and see if they stay in that order. I put ice in a Yeti, so that, not actually a Yeti. I can't afford Yetis. So that I could bring it down here. We're going to do 1 cube each. Try not to splash too much. Got to do exactly 1 cube, otherwise I'll be able to tell which is which by how much ice is in it. Boom. I'm going to have a piece of ice for a palate cleanser while we spin these again. We've got our even pattern of 3 as I chomp on my ice. Let's give her a spin. Sorry, I had to. Somebody's probably going to comment that infuriated them, so I'm sorry. Okay. This also isn't fancy or special ice. It's just ice from my ice maker. That's probably what most people are going to be drinking it with, right? So let's keep it real. So we'll blind out of the way. All right. There's a new 1, 2, and 3, so they're not in the same... Well, they could be in the same order that they were before. That'd be really weird. I feel like the odds of that are really, really slim. Should I do a nose with ice in it? I guess why not, right? Let's do it. I'm going to take a guess and make a fool out of myself. I think number 1... Wait a minute. Which one did I call that? Will be the Pipe Dream. Number 2 would be the Russell's 10, and number 3 would be the Brothers Bond. Just off the nose. That's just a guess because of the way the noses smelled earlier. But based on how the noses smelled earlier, based on how they smell right now, let's re-rank them. So I'm going to put number 1 in second and number 3 in first. So number 1, once again, has the nice, sweet, light profile to it, but doesn't have the lemon and zesty kind of nice flavor that number 3 has, which is what makes me think that number 3 is the Brothers Bond. Okay. Palate, and then we're going to really see. So this should have really changed. I mean, I have a feeling, at least, that it really changed them. I think most of the ice melted as well. More whiskey than ice in there. But ice tends to really change it for me. It does make it harder to taste. So it might kind of bring in our margins a little bit. We're going to see. Let's do this thing. Ice always gives whiskey a kick for me. Number 1 has a kick. Wow. That's going to be a theme. That's probably going to be all of them. So I just got to get used to it and think about the flavors instead. Maybe it's because it's in my head that this is Brothers Bond, but I don't think number 3 kicked as bad. Okay, I'll do the full tasting now. I'll shut up. I'll come back when I have results. Cheers. There is a clear winner. I didn't have to do nearly as much tasting as I thought I had to do. Number 3 by far doesn't get that super spiky, punchy, peppery flavor that the other 2 got. Now, full disclosure, as I've mentioned on many occasions, I prefer my whiskey neat. Ice always gives it this kind of super peppery flavor for me. But here's what happened. So, number 1 got an acetone flavor when you added the ice to it. These all 3 taste like fairly different whiskeys now. I should be clear about that. But number 3 got this like acetone flavor that I thought was going to make, or number 1, sorry, got this acetone flavor that I thought was going to make it third place. But it didn't, because number 2 is like pepper spray. I mean, it is like so much black pepper, maybe lemon if you're being real, generous. But it was tough. Number 3 is the only one that didn't get super harsh, and it retained some of those nice light sweetnesses. It's still in my head that it's Brothers Bond. I could be totally, completely wrong about that. But it still has some of those nice white sugar sweetnesses. It has that kick of pepper, but like the kick of pepper in the way that lightens it up, which is what I was looking for. And then it's got a little bit of that lemony type flavor. Maybe it's not lemon. Maybe it's like orange peel, but you get what I'm getting at. So number 3 is the definitive first place winner. But number 1 was good if that acetone didn't show up. I feel like it got a bad break because I tasted that acetone and I was like, no. And then number 2 just shouldn't be drank on ice, at least not by me ever again, probably. So let's reveal them. Let's go in reverse order. In third place, the one that I probably should never drink on ice again. If it's Redwood Empire, I'm going to be sad. Russell's Reserve 10. See, this is more like what I thought Russell's 10-year tasted like, where I'm like, it's got that really kind of peppery, bitter flavor to it. Anyhow, I'll get off my soapbox. Number 2, is it going to be the Redwood or is it going to be the Brothers Bond? I don't know. I truly don't. My guess is Redwood. Brothers Bond came in second, so it got a little bit of an acetone flavor. You know, at least I don't feel stupid now because I staked the whole Redwood Empire claim on the fact that I had had it before. And if it came in third, I had it before on ice in the summertime. And if it came in third place, I was going to feel really stupid. But apparently that silky smoothness that I thought I was going to get neat wins out when you add some ice to it, because Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream comes in first place when you add ice to it. That Brothers Bond, I think, caught a bad rep because if I'm being honest, I like it. But it just had like an acetone note that I noticed once you added the ice to it. And let me try it one more time. Yeah, it's definitely there. The Redwood Empire, this is what's amazing about this. And I like I said, I had it on ice before and I really liked it. I really thought that's lighter than I remember it being when it's not on ice. It's surprising to me because once again, I thought this was light. I thought this was white sugar, maybe even a little bit of lemon. And that is not what Redwood Empire Pipe Dream tastes like when it's not on ice. I can tell you that much. I'm going to take another sip. Yeah. It almost tastes like old-fashioned-y. Like it's got like just this nice light flavor. The pepper obviously kicks in at the end, but yeah, I don't know. I am shocked by that. So it seems like overall, though, if you're going to go with and without ice, if you're going to try a little bit of both, Brothers Bond would win then because it came in first and then came in second. Whereas Redwood Empire came in third and then came in first. So I don't know if that math is mathing, but you get what I'm saying. Let me put them in the order that they came in. So they came in this order with ice. Redwood Empire came in first place. Without ice, you just swing that Redwood Empire around. I'm about 99% sure that I did Brothers Bond as my favorite without ice, but I could be wrong about that because when I'm recording, I don't remember things the greatest. I promise I didn't drink that much whiskey. But I'm pretty sure Brothers Bond came in first place, which begs the question, overall, I don't think there is an overall winner. I think it'd be tough to do an overall winner. I think you just have to say, well, maybe you do like Russell's is like in the middle. Well, I guess it came in last down there. So not Russell's. I don't think there is an overall winner. I think the answer is with ice, Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream. Without ice, Brothers Bond Bourbon. I think like that's just the way to go. If you're going to drink whiskey in the summertime. So these are the bourbons, Brothers Bond, Bottled and Bond. I don't think I said Bottled and Bond. This isn't just Brothers Bond Bourbon. I should be super duper clear about that. This is their Bottled and Bond bottle. Hopefully I've said it enough through this episode that you got that. But yeah, there you have it. So I couldn't pick a summertime bourbon. There you go. I've had Redwood Empire before, which begs the question, if I did more sweet bourbons, maybe they would do better with the ice. Maybe these just get too spicy when you add ice to them. I'll have to do more in order to find that out. But let me put my summertime whiskeys in front of me now one last time. In no particular order at all. We've got Brothers Bond for our neat bourbon. We've got Redwood Empire's Pipe Dream for our bourbon on ice. We've got Pursuit Spirits Double Oaked for a curveball that I think would be really good as an old-fashioned or on ice. We've got the Glenlivet Caribbean Reserve for a super fruity, laid-back, no ice necessary, but still drink some water with it. We've got Barrel Seagrass for definitely throw that on ice because it's really high proof. And then we've got Lodestar as our honorable mention because I saw it over there on my shelf and I thought that seems a little bit summery. Those are my summertime whiskeys, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I think that's all that I've got for summertime whiskeys, though. I think I'm out of things to say. Thank you guys all for listening to this episode. I will leave you with learn to drink, drink to learn. Hi there. If you're still listening to this, then I'm going to assume that you enjoyed the show. So please consider taking a moment to leave a 5-star rating or review and subscribe on whatever platform it is that you're watching/listening to this on. And as always, please, please, please drink responsibly. Cheers.